hard to see any world where the Patriots are able to put up points. And I think there is that possibility that things turn disastrous. Some prophetic stuff there, past version of me. But in all actuality, my hope for both teams to have fun did not come true, believe it or not, because I wouldn't imagine it was too fun to be the Patriots that night. I do think there's still a lot to be positive about with them, though, so that will be what I focus on later when I do my Patriots segment. But the Seahawks, just total domination all around. So many numbers show it. If you watched any bit of it, you could see it too. 30 PFF grade for Drake May. His previous low in his entire career was 49. So that's a bit of a drop off there, I would say. Also, when we look at receivers with 20% or more of the requisite targets from the most targeted receiver in the league, Stephon Diggs had a return to form in all ways this season. He was back to being really good in the regular season and also back to getting absolutely clamped by every good corner he faced, because Diggs, despite May having 295 yards, he was 122nd in yards per route run. If that would have been his number through the entire season, that's pretty laughable, because Diggs should guarantee you some production given he is just working in the short yardage situation. If you're a deep threat, that's fine. You could maybe get, shut down because they're just not allowing that, but you're opening up stuff beyond what the production numbers would show. No, Diggs just got absolutely clamped, which I did say was going to happen. I thought Witherspoon was just going to put him in the blender, and then for good measure, Emin would get into it too, just for fun. And that was totally the case. The offensive line, that's the big part here for most people, rightfully so. We're comparing it to PFF's worst pass blocking line in the league this year, the Browns. Don't really need to preface it too much. It's the Browns. They have worst everything seemingly every year, not defense this year, but they look amazing compared to the Patriots in this game, because the Patriots had 2 more sacks allowed than the Browns allowed on average and 10 more hurries. Drake May was just getting crushed, as were the linemen. I mean, in fact, Wilson just drove back into May at a certain point, and it was a pretty hilarious situation where the lineman was pretty much tackling the quarterback, but it was the absolute worst showing you could have imagined. Will Campbell, again, just got embarrassed by a speedy edge rusher matchup in Nwosu. And, that is worrisome then. But, shout out to the Seahawks so much for this one. It is a situation where I'm actually going with the running back for MVP. And I do not think highly of the running back position. I do think, it's the least valuable position for full-time players. I think, analytics just strongly suggest that. But I think it just bears out logically as well, where so much of their production is driven by others. But in this instance, in this one game, I think Kenneth Walker is the MVP. I think it's a little bit wonky that so many people were saying it needs to go to a defensive player, because you couldn't even totally define who was the driving force in this game. Hall was amazing, of course. He had the 2 sacks and a forced fumble. But Byron Murphy on the interior also had 2 sacks and then another 3 hurries. I like giving it to Walker here because he was clearly the driving force of the offense, and he was needed to be. The fact that no one else was able to run the ball, because they had to call up Cam Akers and Velus Jones, a receiver turned running back, were options after the Charbonnet injury. It was Walker, or there was going to be no ground game at all, and he got receiving production too. 135 rushing yards, amazing. 26 through the air, that's really good production all around. 5 yards per carry, I'll take that all day, especially because the Patriots allow on average 4.2. he was incredibly productive in this game, and who knows how it plays out if you don't have Walker here. If you just have an average running back instead of Walker, this game gets a lot dicier. I know the defense just completely obliterated the Patriots a lot of the game, but at some point, you're going to have to put up some points as well. You can't just, you know, bank on getting pick sixes and fumble sixes. So, shout out to Walker in this one. I do think he got the award correctly, which I know is a little bit of a spicy take, but I just truly think you got to give it to the guy that you can easily define. Whereas again with Hall or Murphy, how do you pick that? Is doing it from the interior is really difficult from a pass rushing production standpoint. So yeah, Hall with the fumble and the 2 sacks as well is amazing stuff. But also Emin, he had 4 stops, great in coverage. He was shutting down the run though, allowing them to be in nickel all the time, even if the Patriots were clearly trying to run. Witherspoon, he only allowed 37 receiving yards. He had 3 pressures, 2 stops. I'm a big Witherspoon guy, I will admit, but I think that in all actuality, you could make arguments for pretty much any of those guys. It depends on how frisky you're feeling. I think Emin has the worst argument out of those 4, but the fact that you can have legitimate conversations for at least 3 guys, and again, you can say that Emin did more beyond the stat sheet, which again, 4 stops is great, and he didn't get like busted in coverage or anything. So that's just great stuff. And again, he's allowing the Seahawks to play how they want to play by being a nickel linebacker, edge rusher, what have you. So I think Walker's the clear pick here. I really do. And with that said, not all doom and gloom for the Patriots. Believe it or not, they got to the Super Bowl. They might have something cooking there. And, the fact is, it's a super young team. This is a year at least ahead of schedule, so you can't really be too mad with how things worked out. But either way, you have the 11th most effective cap space in the league. The 2 playoff teams in the AFC that have more. The Chargers. Chargers are going to be better next year, more than likely, given health regression to the mean being expected with the tackles in particular. The offensive line will also not just be disgustingly bad, more than likely. And the Steelers, who are a playoff team only in title. It's kind of semantics that they're a playoff team. They're not a real playoff team. They're not anywhere near where the Patriots or even Chargers are. But you have that money, and lots of teams that are good don't. You're also super young. All you have to do is decide if you're bringing back Chase on or not, which going into the year, you'd be like, yeah, we'll just sign him to a minimum. He played really well. He was the best edge rusher from a pass rush production standpoint. So give him some money probably, but that's not going to eat in too much too. It's I think about 40 million in effective cap space. It's either 30 or 40, but either way, it's a lot of money to work with. You have all your picks for this year's draft, including an extra 4 and like 3 extra 6s. And next year, same thing. You got to pick in every draft. The year after that, you have a pick in every round, I should say. So there's a lot to be, jazzed about with the Patriots. Yeah, you do have a lot of young talent that will be getting paid, but you can definitely manage your money here in a way to be aggressive now, but also still have some money to pay your young talent, which is, again, fastly approaching. Gonzalez going to be making so much money. May is more than likely going to be commanding a ton of money. I know that he still has 3 years of contract control with the 5th-year option, but you got to be thinking about that because that is like, right now he would project to be like a $60 million contract, not like probably like $10 million he's making now. So that's going to be something, but you can front load it for free agency. You can do deals like that. There's a lot to be excited about here. And you do have stability at really important positions. Not positions on the field necessarily. You have a quarterback with May more than likely, even though he was really bad to get in the Super Bowl, I should say. Vrabel does seem to just be that guy. He seems to reset the culture wherever he goes and get his guys to play their hardest and get good coordinators too, which is helpful since he's not necessarily driving the scheme too much. So you have stability at probably the two most positions there. You're well ran, seemingly. So, to this day, they've always obviously been well ran for the past several years, but it seems like they're still cooking stuff up. It's a really good situation to be in, the Patriots, but obviously the talk of the town has to be the Seahawks. They got Drake May looking like Patrick Mahomes in a Super Bowl loss, which most of the time you want to seem like Patrick Mahomes if you're a young quarterback, but you know, when Mahomes loses in his Super Bowls, he loses by a lot. When May loses in his one Super Bowl, he lost by a lot. So that's the type of level we're talking about. It was just obliteration all around for the Seahawks. So good for them. Again, sad to see both teams not have fun, but it was definitely a lot of fun for the Seahawks. So those are my thoughts on the Super Bowl. I hope that I properly celebrated the Seahawks and consoled the Patriots here. Be sure to let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. Be sure to like the video or rate the podcast, 5 stars preferably, and be sure to follow for more. Thank you for watching, and treat yourself like a friend.